Hello, as promised, we're back again, and this time we're going to be taking a look at some of the Italian dagger work that we look at. Eventually this is going to lead on to looking at side sword and dagger, but I thought before we started looking at the two weapon side of things, we'd actually look at dagger as a weapon in and of itself. There are treatises, particularly the one I'm thinking of is Marozzo, talks about using the dagger on its own as a dueling weapon. So what we're going to be looking at in the next few weeks, I have to say, is in the weird circumstance where I have chosen to duel somebody and we have both picked daggers as our weapon. So this is not designed as street defense, this is designed for dueling with a dagger. However, it covers some interesting concepts and starts to introduce us to some of what we're going to be doing when we're using the dagger in the offhand along with the side sword. So it's worth taking a little bit of time to have a look at it. The daggers that we're actually talking about is a kind of parry dagger, something like this. Quite a long blade, quite wide quillions, normally with a curl on them in case I'm going to try and bind. I've got a knuckle guard there, so when I'm holding this, an attack isn't going to take my fingers off. And that's the weapon that we're actually kind of looking at. Now, what I want to say is that when Marozzo starts talking about using the dagger, he assumes we already know how to use the side sword. And the reason I'm saying that is he gives us five things to do with the dagger. Yeah? And they leave parts of the body completely uncovered by his work and all the rest of it. So the logic to assume is he assumes you can already use this like a side sword. And as you can use it like a side sword, you can fill in the gaps in his dagger work with normal side sword. So what do I mean by that? If we were fighting with daggers, these have a reasonable length to them. So if Ian was to take a cut at my neck with his dagger, yeah, I don't have to do something dagger related to this. I can still use my side sword technique, my parry across. I can use my squalembrato as I'm moving out of the way and get out of the way of that attack. Likewise, an attack can be at the other side. There's nothing to stop me using those kind of side sword techniques. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go watch some of our side sword videos and you'll catch up on this. So I can use this. He doesn't go over how do I do all of the attacks, because I know that I can attack with my squalembratos, my downward cuts. I've got tondos, I can cut across this way. I've got ridocchios. If I really want one, I've got a fendente. It's unlikely to be one I use with a dagger. I've also got thrusts, and I've got the same thrusts that I'm used to using from side sword. I've got an imbricata, I've got a stoccata, and I've got a punta reversi. So all of this we already know. So without adding anything new, we should be able to duel with daggers as if we were dueling with side swords. So, you know, an attack might come in, I'm going to move out of the way, take a cut back, and you can see we're already starting to get into a situation where we can use it much like we would do as if there were tiny, tiny side swords. And it's important to realise that, because when we go on and look in the future videos at the things you can do with dagger, there are things that you don't do with the side sword but can do with the dagger. And that's why he's pulled those things out. But it's important to start this off very early on with understanding that the assumption is you can already use this like a side sword. So as I said, before we move on to the next video, if you don't know anything about the side sword work we do, go have a watch of some of those videos so that you're kind of familiar with the kind of style and the way the weapon is used. And then next week we're going to start picking up on the actual specific things we can do with the dagger that are different to what we would do with the side sword. So hopefully you'll join us for that, but hopefully this has been a quick introduction to how we're going to be starting to thinking of using the dagger. Okay, catch you next time.